Alright guys, welcome back to a new video. I just closed out my previous one. You all probably remember seeing this in the closing of the last video, but we are going to jump back into this car and pretty much get it ready to start. So there's a couple of more things I need to do. Now I've done actually a lot of stuff that you saw in the first part of this video. I didn't videotape everything because I was kind of in the zone and I just kind of started cranking through some things. So a lot of that stuff was boring anyway. I hit the major stuff, but we will go ahead and talk about what I did and what's left to do. And then we will get into the remaining things to get this thing started and running under its own power. So here's a quick recap of where we stand. You all already know all of this was done and mounted and in the car, but what you all probably did not know, or at least what I did in the previous section of this video, was I installed a choke that runs inside, which is actually super cool. Looks kind of OEM. Well, it's gonna be super dark, but let's see if I can get in here. Ooh. I'm gonna have to get a flashlight. Guys, hold on a second. All right, let's try this again with a light. So, this is the choke. It's just a generic choke cable that I got from AutoZone. Yeah, you just pull on this to engage the choke, and then you start your car, all that kind of good stuff, and then when you need to push the choke back in, you just push it back, and it's good to go. Looks kind of OEM with the cigarette outlet. It's not a line straight, but I could always fix that and take care of all that. So anyway, that's that. And then also, if you look back here, now before anybody freaks out, I need actually some suggestions from you all. I've reached out to a couple of people, and they've said this is a bad idea and not to run this way, and I totally understand. I don't want to run it if it's a bad idea, if it's going to damage anything, or if it's going to hurt anything. But also, one of the main goals for this car is to have an absolutely clean engine bay. I mean, I'm talking just the absolute bare necessities in the engine bay. So what I ended up doing is I ended up mounting the coil pack. Now it's not mounted, it's just sitting here, but the coil pack is actually in the interior. Now right now it's just sitting on the carpet, but it's in the interior. I'm gonna try to make something and mount it. If it's safe to even run it in the interior of the car, I'm gonna make something that it can sit on, and then you can see the spark plug wires all run around, and they go into they go through that hole up there in the firewall, which will have a grommet on it, and it'll keep it all nice and clean. So the hole on the left hand side will be for all the spark plug wires and everything, and then the hole on the right hand side is for the wiring harness for the Nodiz. Now the Nodiz I actually have tucked away in here. The Nodiz is down in there, and now I'm going to probably mount it on the back where that sticker is. But right now, it's just kind of sitting in there for the time being. That's where its final home is going to be. It's going to be in the glove box, kind of out of the way, but if you need to ever get to it and do anything to it, you just pop this open, hook it up, and you're good to go. It's easy accessible, out of the elements, even though it is waterproof and splash proof and all that stuff. But I think it's a pretty cool home for it. It's going to get mounted up there, like I said, with some probably Velcro, and that should be its final resting place. Alright, which brings us back out here, so you can see in the back there, that's where the spark plug cables are running, and then over here is the Nodiz wiring harness, and that's where it's going to run through. That should free up a lot of room in the engine bay, as you can tell already. We've already freed up a lot of space back here. And of course, all of this wiring that's sitting here, this is the old OEM harness. This is all going to be stripped down and just the bare necessities used. So other things like over here, we have a whole bunch of emission stuff, which we're no longer running. So all of that will be gone. These all have to be redone. These are all the lighting for the front bumper and headlights and all that stuff that needs to be cleaned up. We got alternator stuff over here. Yeah, we're gonna clean up this wiring harness, but for right now, we're just kind of hooking everything up to try and get it started. All right, guys, so that was a really quick overview of what I've done in the first half of this video. So I'm gonna finish up a couple of things, and then once I'm done with that, we will go through in depth a little bit more how everything's hooked up and how everything is supposed to work. And then we'll try to start it for the first time. All right, guys, enough talking. Let's go ahead and get going on the Corolla.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. When you're...
Oh man, that got hot quick. Holy. Alright guys, so we got a couple of things that we need to go over. One of the main things that's keeping this car from starting is we don't have the electric fuel pump hooked up to the car in order to start pumping fuel when the car is turned on. So I'm going to be going over really quickly how to wire up an external fuel pump or an inline fuel pump like I have set up on mine. Here are some of the things you're going to need here. Hopefully you all can see all of this. We've got a RL44's the Universal Automotive Relay. This is what you're looking for. Hopefully you can see all of that. You can get this at any auto parts store, but you will need this to wire up. Well, you don't need it, but it's better to wire up your fuel pump using this than just directly wiring it to the battery. So we're gonna use this. To make life easier, we are also using this. This is just a simple connector for that relay. We're gonna be using 4 wires there. We'll get into that in just a second. Just some wire. I got 2 different kinds. This is probably gonna be what I'm gonna run the power from the battery. Probably be using that. And then this will be just for everything else. An inline fuse, just because we are going straight from the battery. And last but not least, just a couple of connectors there that we can hook this up at the battery, hook the main power up at the battery. So first things first, let's go over what exactly everything is gonna do on this relay. Okay, so we want this relay to turn on or to switch on when we turn the key to the on position in the car. So there are a couple of numbers here, a couple of prongs there. Again, I'll put all of them over here on the side, so hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. But basically you've got prong 85, 87, 30, and 86. So 86 is gonna be our ground, so we're gonna ground this relay to number 86. We are gonna be getting positive power from the battery to prong 30. So prong 30 will be running to the battery. We'll also use that, that little fuse over there as well. Okay, prong 87 is gonna go to the power on the fuel pump. And then 85 is gonna be your signal, which is gonna come from when you turn, you gotta find a wire that basically has a 12-volt signal when you turn the key into the on position. Okay, so hopefully all that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get to connecting up some wires and everything, and then we'll kind of touch base where we're at here in just a couple of minutes. But that's the basic outline of how we are going to wire this up, or this relay up to the fuel pump and get it to work.
One eternity later.
All right, so it is the next day, and I think I'm finally done with wiring up all the relays. We did a relay for the fuel pump, and we also did a relay for the Nodiz. So let's go, I guess let me show you kind of how it all turned out and what happens when I turn the key to the on position now. So as you can see here, I have everything just wired up very temporary. So like I even use these little twist things. This is just to get the alternator hooked up. So that's hooked up. That portion on top of the alternator is hooked up. This is where the alternator kind of wires in. Again, this is just for testing, so nobody freak out. It's not gonna be like this. And then in here, you have our positive lead right there with a couple of wires coming off of it. One for the fuel pump and one for the Nodiz. And then we've got our negative terminal here as well. So let's go ahead and plug everything up. Just put that on there. Don't need to really worry about tightening them down right now, at least I don't think so. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can tell, but back in there, there's a relay, and that is a relay for the Nodiz. So the Nodiz will come on when the key is in the on position here, and then also in the back, we have a relay for the fuel pump. Let's go ahead, grab the keys. We're gonna put this into the on position. So first things first, we turn this to accessories. We got our clock on, all the accessory stuff is on. Notice nothing on the Nodiz so far. You don't hear any clicking in the back. So now when I turn this, you're gonna hear the fuel pump in the back kick on. And then our Nodiz is also on, one red light. So yeah, everything's good. Don't want to burn up that fuel pump. All right, so that's pretty much where we stand. So now we are going to fill the engine up with cheap oil. It's just super cheap STP oil because it is going to get drained out again. I don't feel like wasting a lot of money on the good stuff. And then I also have some transmission fluid as well. This is going to go into the T50. Again, this is cheap stuff. It is the right weight and everything, but I'm not going to spend money on the good stuff until we actually get this car running. But when I start the engine, even though I'm not going to be using the transmission and shifting gears, the gears are still going to be turning. So I want to have something inside that transmission to just lubricate everything. So the cheap stuff's the way to go. We'll drain it all out before we actually start driving the car or do anything else with it. But for now, that's going to work for the first initial startup. Dude, I'm getting super nervous. I really hope it actually fires. Oh, and one more thing. It is going to be super loud because we are not running a header yet. I do have a header in mind. It's probably going to require some modification, and it is super expensive. So yeah, more to come on that later. So if everything is right, fuel should start coming out of this hose right here. So we're gonna try it real quick and then we have to review this footage, and I mean, I guess I'll be able to tell if fuel's coming out, but anyway, fuel coming out of that hose, here we go. Oh, shit, yo, okay, turn it off. All right. Well, at least we got fuel. Now let me clean this up so it don't start a fire. All right, I think she's ready. All right, guys, we're ready to fire the engine for the first time. So I am gonna definitely grab my fire extinguisher over here. Always be safe than sorry. Have not started this engine and it's all done by me, so hopefully we don't get a fire, but definitely need to have this as reassurance. Really quick, let me go over exactly how everything's hooked up and how we are gonna get this to start for the first time. All right, here's the engine. So now the way that we have this set up, you have your trigger wheel on your crank pulley. Now the missing tooth has to hit the sensor 90 degrees before top dead center. So right now, the notch, this little notch right there, see on that pulley, should be at 12 o'clock when the engine is at top dead center. So right now it's sitting at 9 o'clock. That's 90 degrees before top dead center. And we have our missing tooth on the sensor. So this is how we are going to try to start the engine. This is where everything needs to be oriented at this point in time. D4A, if you're watching this, thanks for all of your help. Sorry for bothering you so much. I'm trying to learn it as I go, but I needed some clarification on that because the way I had it set up before was incorrect. So again, the missing tooth needs to be set on the sensor 90 degrees before top dead center. So once I rotate this to top dead center and I get it in top dead center, then this missing tooth should be about 9 o'clock here. Hope that makes sense. Okay, and now my fuel tank setup. So this is really sketchy. I just have kind of a gas tank in here, and then I have the intake or the line that's going to be going to the gas tank. I have it just kind of draped in here, and this just has gas in it. Reason being is I didn't want to put gas in the gas tank yet because I still need to probably weld up a drain plug on there for future draining of the tank and all that kind of stuff. So up here is our relay. Again, guys, this is all temporary. Don't freak out if it looks like crap, because it definitely does look like crap. This is the relay. Everything is wired in to the fuel pump. Fuel pump turns on, fuel pump primes. We just saw that. So anyway, all this works, but this is how I currently have it set up. So I'm just siphoning gas from this gas tank. Probably not the safest thing, but that's why we got a fire extinguisher. So we're gonna leave this the way that it is, and it should suck fuel up into the pump, and then the pump should cycle the fuel back out to the front like we saw earlier. All right, and now in here, so I just really quickly put in the shifter. We're just gonna make sure it's in neutral, which it is. So you can go into, it's a little notchy, I don't know. There's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. So all the gears work, but I'm sure they're completely dry, so we're gonna want to get a little bit of oil kind of in there. Other than that, I have the clutch pedal. I don't know if you can tell, but the little safety switch that's there is zip tied down, so it's gonna think that the clutch is pushed in. What else? Oh yeah, our Nodiz in here, we already kind of talked about it. The Nodiz is mounted in here, everything seems to be working right. And then back there is our relay. Again, we've got that set up temporarily, so the Nodiz will at least work. All right, guys, I'm gonna set you all front and center of the engine to see if it actually fires. Now again, I have not tried firing this yet, so I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm assuming maybe it might if everything is connected and set where it needs to be, but don't be surprised if it doesn't work. If it doesn't, we'll have to kind of cut it here. I'll have to figure it out, and then the next scene we'll try to shoot and see if this engine starts up. Again, this is the first time I've started this engine since I've owned it, so you all have pretty much been along for the whole ride. So we will see if everything works and the engine fires up. Oh, it's gonna be so loud too without any sort of header on there, but whew, I'm nervous. All right, let's try it out. All right. Accessories on. Nodiz is on. Fuel pump's priming. Don't see any leaks yet. Let's try and start it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even a click, not even... Alright. Well, that sucks. Alright guys, really quick, I wanted to take a second to open up a package that I received from a subscriber. You've probably seen some of his comments down below. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel right here and also link it down into the description. He's a fellow subscriber, fellow AE86 owner, and a really good guy. You've really helped me out with this project, and I like just talking about 86s with you. So I already know what this is, but I wanted to open it up on camera, show you all what it is. He really gave me a great deal on it. So again, Sean, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And this is definitely gonna go to good use on the AE86 project. Oh, you probably shouldn't see that. I need to give my address away. All right, guys, let's open this bad boy up. All right. So, as some of you all might notice, this is a cam gear cover for the 4AGE 16 valve, and it's rear-wheel drive. So you probably have noticed on my other one, there's a little gap right here for the 4AGE that was in the front-wheel drive variants of the cars and all that stuff. This one is for rear-wheel drive. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. I've got a new sticker for it, so we're going to try to reapply the sticker in a later video and not get any air bubbles in it. But Sean gave me a great deal on this. Hey man, I really appreciate it. And he also included a middle section and a bottom section. Now, these are also from the front-wheel drive variant, which is fine because I didn't really need these pieces, but it was awesome. He included them in the set, and this is just a spare set for me to have since I did kind of cut up my other one to fit the T3 pulley. So this is pretty cool. Sean, thanks man, I really appreciate it. Oh, and it looks like you might have wrote something in the bottom here. I don't know if y'all can read that, but it says, burnout vid or no balls. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, when I get this car done, oh, we're definitely doing a burnout. Alright guys, so we're back out in the garage for another go at this thing. So in the last scene of this video, you saw me messing with the engine and we were trying to crank it over and nothing was really happening. So you saw the starter was not starting, and what I came to find out is that I had actually missed a major chassis ground that I didn't hook up. So that was causing the starter to not turn over. This is the actual cable. You can see it here, this connected, this cable here. It was a major ground that went from the chassis to the block of the engine, and then there was a connector here that connected to it, which I assume in this wiring harness goes around and probably to the starter or something along those lines. But as soon as I connected this, then the starter started firing. But I ran into another issue. Okay, so the next issue I ran into had to do with the Nodiz. So after I fixed the grounding issue, the Nodiz was having a problem where when I turned the key to the on position, the red light would pop on for a split second and then go off. When I put the key in the ignition and I went from two accessories, that wire was not supposed to have any power, and then when you went to on, the Nodiz, that red light should come on, showing that the Nodiz is on and ready to go. So what would happen is when I turned it on, the red light would light up for like a split second and then shut off. So this cable over here is where I got my 12-volt signal for the relay. So I measured voltage at the relay up in there somewhere. And I was getting 12 volts to the relay, but at this signal wire, for whatever reason, after I hooked up that ground, was no longer getting 12 volts when it was turned on. So I either blew a fuse wherever this hooks to. I'm really not that good with electrical systems and all that kind of stuff. I'm learning, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but one of those two scenarios must have happened. I either blew a fuse on this line, or I ended up just getting miss voltage or reading miss voltage when I was first testing this for 12 volt, for the 12 volt signal. So what I ended up doing is I went around and I tested a couple more wires and found this wire on this harness is a 12 volt on ignition. So I ended up just using a little twist connector. Again, guys, this is temporary. This is not what it's going to be when it's all said and done. But I twisted these two together, which gave my 12 volt signal to this cable that then runs to the relay and turns on the Nodiz. So when I did that, I started getting a red light back on the Nodiz. And so anyway, I got the red light back on the Nodiz, and I decided to try and start it again to see if the Nodiz would act the way that it was supposed to. And thankfully it did. So the two other lights on the side there started flashing like they're supposed to, but I wasn't getting anything from the engine. So anyway, I just did a little bit of testing to see if I could get it to fire. Now guys, keep in mind, when I tried this was 11:30 at night, and I can't really start this engine with open headers, or else it's gonna wake up the whole neighborhood. So I tried to give it one turn, and it sounded very promising. So it kind of backfired a little bit, and then I shut it off and I said, okay, I'm gonna leave it the way that it is. Everything looks like it's working all right, and I'm gonna come back tomorrow and try to finally test fire this thing for real. And here's where we are. So let me go ahead and set you all up, and we're gonna try to test fire this engine. All right, guys, here we go, first start. Don't mind this wiring. All right, out of gear, key in, accessories, nothing on the Nodiz, power on the Nodiz. You heard the fuel pump in the back. Here we go. Oh yeah. Woo! Oh man, that was rough, but hey, it's working, right? Oh man, that was kind of scary. All right, guys, that's it. So the engine test fired. I'm super excited. Man, was it rough. I don't know if you saw that on the video. I don't know what it caught, but that thing was shifting and moving and jumping and shaking. I don't know, I might be missing spark on a couple cylinders or one cylinder or something like that. But hey, the engine started and it ran under its own power even for just a little bit. So I must be getting somewhat in the right direction. So before I break anything on this, I want to go ahead and take some time to kind of look everything over, maybe clean some stuff up, and just make sure that everything is connected and working the way that it should. But guys, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Guys, this is a huge milestone in the build. Again, this is officially my first engine swap ever, and it actually started, so I'm super excited. It is running off carburetors. You see the amount of stuff that's in the engine bay. All of this stuff's gonna be gone. There's gonna be nothing in the engine bay when this car runs, so it's gonna be super awesome. I can't wait to continue on it. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and edit this video, then we'll get back out here in the garage and continue on. If you all like this sort of content, please smash that thumbs up button. If you wanna be notified when more content like this comes out on the channel, please consider pressing that subscribe button below and ticking that little bell notification to be notified when I post. As always, stay tuned for more A86 content, and until next time, I'll see you later.